Hey, what's up, Bakugan fans? Look what is starting to show up in people's homes this day. Shields of Vestroia booster boxes, booster packs. Everybody knows that these are starting to be available on eBay. So I went ahead and grabbed 3 boxes because you know what? I just want a playset of every single card in every set. So I'm doing it. I'm gonna open up 1 box right now. This is gonna be the first of 3. I'm gonna do it quick and lay all these cards out here. So let's see if we can make a full set of Shields of Vestroia. All right, without further ado, here we go. Here are my pulls from 1 box, 36 packs of Shield of Vestroia cards. I'm gonna start with Pyrus, go faction by faction, and then dual factions, Evos, and then character cards. So here we go. Mega Pyrus, we've seen this one before. 0 for 2, or on a fusion, 0 for 5. So I pulled, oh, there's the hex. Pulled 4 copies of that one. Energy Sphere, which we've seen before, 2 copies of that. Pyrofuser, 2 for 5, and you may turn one of your fusion Bakugan face down, which means you unfuse them. I only got 1 copy of that. It's a rare. Interesting. Volatile Instincts, 3 energy for 6 damage. If you energize from your hand, you may pay 2 to draw 1. It's a common. I got 3 copies. Okay, Pyrospark, 3 for 300 and Double Strike, another common, and I got 2 copies of that. Nuclear Pummel, 4 for 10. I got a lot of copies. A couple shinies. We've seen that before. Immolation Wave, this guy's cool. 4 energy, it's a awesome rare. This turn your Bakugan gets Victor, +5, and the energy cards used to play flip cards this turn are destroyed. I only got 1. But what a fun card. 4 energy. And then Colonel Armstrong Trip in the Pyrus Persuasion. 5 energy. When you fuse a Bakugan, make a Pyrus attack for 3. And 1 hex. Magmagon. Got a lot of those. Common card. We've seen this before. Burning Determination. 6 energy. Super rare. Turn one of your fusion Bakugan face down to make a Pyrus attack for damage equal to its fusion cost. So it could be, you know, it could be little, like 3, or it could be a ton, like 8 if you're playing high cost fusions. So really interesting card there. You just make a Pyrus attack. Okay, the flips in Pyrus, I got a bunch of Pyrus Stopper Slam. 1 cost to stop Pyrus or a fusion Bakugan. For the gears in Pyrus, Burn Cutter we've seen before, 3 for 105 with 1 armor rating, 4 copies of that. Wrecking Ball, 4 energy for 400B, 1 damage and 2 armor. When it flips from your deck, you may pay 2 for 4 energy. So if you have 2 energy left available, you now get 4. So pretty cool if you want to play something at the end of the turn, do an Evo. Awesome card. Lava Blade, we've seen this. 5 for 2 and 4. It's a rapid fire card, so you can play it for free. It's got 2 armor rating. Pulled 3 copies of that. Vulcanist Greaves, which is new to me. 5 energy for 200B and 2 damage, and when you play it, you make a Pyrus attack for 3. So I got 3 copies of that. Okay, moving to Aquos. We have Aquos Overwhelm, which comes in a starter set. So 1 energy for 200B, or if you have boost, you get 1 for 6. So I only got, oh, I guess I got more than I thought. 4 copies. Aqua Crawler, which is a shiny. 2 for 400. Energize this from your hand. You may pay 2 energy to draw 1. I only got 1 copy of that as a common, which is kind of weird. Baku Fusion Power. 2 energy for 500. If you played on a fusion, you draw 1. So this is super, super necessary for any Aquos fusion that you have in your deck. I only got 2 of those as a common. Improvised Armor, 3 energy for 2 damage and draw 2. We've seen that before in the deck. I got 3 copies of that. Flip Strike is old, 3 for 700. I got 3 copies of that. We got this rare, Baku Retreat, 3 energy for 7 damage, and you may retract a Bakugan that did not open this turn. So a new form of Ninja Gear. It's kind of fun. So it's a hex. It's the only copy that I got. Oh, what am I saying? Nope, I got 3 copies, 1 hex and 2 normals. We got Bent Dusk, Mastermind, 4 energy. When you fuse a Bakugan, give a Bakugan 600B. That could be pretty cool. Fusion strategy. I got 2 copies of that. It's a rare. And then It's Mine, awesome rare, 5 energy. Take control and attach an opposing Bakugear to one of your Bakugan. So it's a Bakugan steal. That's pretty cool. We do core steals and now we get to do Bakugear steals. I got 2 copies of that. It's an awesome rare. Impaling Icicles is a super rare, 7 energy for 7 Frost Strike. I wish I wouldn't have got any of these. I don't know, two copies. And now the flips. We got Fluid Form, Stop Aquos, or a Fusion Bakugan for 1 energy. So 3 copies of that. And then 1 copy of Sneaky Squid. It's a rare card. Each faction had one of these to their, certain thing that they do. 4 energy, stop a non-fusion Bakugan, and if you do, draw a card. But only 1, so it kind of stinks. And then the gears for Aquos. Hyperdrive Booster, 2 energy. If another card causes you to reveal this from your hand, you may re-roll a Bakugan. It's got 1 armor rating, 200B, 0 damage. I got 2 copies. I only got 1 copy of Crest Stormers, but it came in a starter deck, so this has been out there before, but just opening them wild, I only got 1 copy. Poison Wings, 5 energy. When you play this, give a Bakugan 3 Frost Strike, and it's 300B and 3 damage. Looks like I got a bunch of copies. What was that, 5, 6? Telekinesis Crown has been around, and I got 5 copies of that. So that's the Aquos faction. I'll go to Haos now. I only got one copy of this card, rare. 0 cost, Clairvoyance. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck, put them back on the top of your deck in any order. And if you pay 3 more for Empower, you draw 1. So kind of like Sky's Hymn that costs 1, and if you have the most cards, you get to draw 1. So that's kind of cool. 1 copy though. Dang, I wish I had more. Gonna open a couple more boxes still. Crushing Shadows, 1 energy for 200 and 1 Frost Strike. Common card. I got 3, 4, 5 of those. Scarf Strike has been around, so 2 for 500. I only got 1. Energy Funnel. 3 energy for 600. If you played on a Fusion Bakugan, you may re-roll it. I only got 1 of those as a common. Big 8 Punch. 4 energy for 8 damage. Only got 1 common. Fast Fusion Ray. 5 for 1,000. And if you energize this from your hand, you may pay 2 energy to draw 1. They're common. I only got 2. Haos Divine. 6 energy for -10 to a non-Haos Bakugan. Oh, it looks like I got a shiny of that one. So 4, 5 copies of that. This card, why would you play this card? It's just, I know that Haos doesn't have these minus damage cards in their faction, but this is so expensive for something that you could do easily with another faction. And then Bear Claw, Baku Bear Claw, 6 energy. Each player may play a Fusion Bakugan for free. Man, you would only use this if you had a fusion that was less than 6. So this is a way to fuse Bakugan earlier, which is a card that hasn't been around, right? To fuse Bakugan earlier. So 1 copy of that, it's an awesome rare. For the flips, we've seen this, Divine Wall, Stop Haos, or a fusion for 1. Looks like I got 3 copies. I only got 1 copy of Stand Strong. 4 energy, stop a non-fusion Bakugan. If you do, put it into your hand. So these stops, I got 1 in the Aquos too, I think, and a couple in the Pyrus. They're rares. I didn't get enough for a playset yet. Then we got this art again in the Haos Persuasion this time, but 2 energy, Shining Clubs. When you play this, you may re-roll your Bakugan. You may play an additional 3 for 500 with Empower, and it's 101. I got 3 copies. Energy Vortex has been around, 3 for 300, and attach a Green Fist. I got 4 copies. Light Burst Cannons has been around. I only got 1 copy. Super rare. 4 energy for 303 and 2 armor rating, and when it flips from your deck, you pay 2 to put it into your hand. And then 2 copies of my good friend Flame Breather's favorite card in the world. 5 energy, Rainbow Sparkle Cannon of Doom. I don't say it like he does, so sorry. 404, 1 armor. Okay, that was the Aquos faction. We'll look at Ventus now. Eviscerator Strike, 1 energy for -300, which is good. They have a lot of cards that are 1 for -3, actually. And if you play this on a fusion, 1 for -600. The anti-fusion B card. 3 copies of that. Ventus Head Smash, 1 for 2 in Shadow Strike. The cheap Shadow Strike for Ventus. 3 copies of that. Solar Wings is in a starter set deck as well. 2 for -5. You energize this from your hand. You may pay 2 to draw 1. 3 copies of that. Ventus Rampage, another starter deck card. 2 for 1 damage for each energy card you have in play. And if you have Boost, 7 or more energy cards, you have Shadow Strike. 2 copies. Ebony the Cat, it's new to me. 2 energy for giving a Bakugan -5 damage when you fuse. 2 copies of that, that's a rare. Vicious Defense, 3 for -206. That's been around in starter sets. 4, 5, 6 copies of that. Shield Charge, 4 energy for -700, and then you get to energize the top card of your deck for each fusion Bakugan on your team. So 4 cost can give you -700, which isn't terrible since you're getting another effect with it, but you could potentially energize 3 cards from the top of your deck in 1 turn, be 3 energy up on your opponent, get boost faster. This is a cool boost card. I only got 1 copy of it, super rare. Bakugan Overdrive, we've seen 5 energy for -1000, and if you have Trifecta, you get to draw 2 cards. Ventus Distraction, 7 energy for -12 and draw 1. We've seen that before too. That is 4 copies. All right, the Ventus version of this card, 1 cost, Fusion Confusion, stop Ventus or a Fusion Bakugan. 1, 2, 3, 4 copies. Too Fast, the rare flip in these in this set. 4 cost, stop a non-fusion Bakugan. If you do, energize it uncharged. 3 copies. So I got more in the Ventus faction than I have in the other factions. Multi-Slash Armor, which is a super amazing gear card. 3 energy for 300 B and 1 damage with 1 armor. It's good ratios. 4 copies of that. Savage Swarm, 3 energy for 104 with 1 armor and boost. If you have 7 or more energy cards, you give a Bakugan plus 500. I got a lot of copies of this. This was a common one, even though it says rare. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 copies. Slash Wings, new to me. 5 energy. When you play this, give a Bakugan -300 B. And it's 300 B and 3 damage. So that was a common one here. Oh, it is common too. 4 copies. And then 1 copy of Gaia Rockets, which was also in a starter set deck. 7 energy for 705, 2 armor. And when you flip it from your deck, you may pay 2 to energize a card from your hand uncharged. I wish I would have got more copies, but maybe I will with other boxes. So there's Ventus. And we're gonna do Darkus. New card here, Darkus Glare. Obviously it's new. 1 energy for -2. If you played on a fusion, -8 instead. So that is another anti-fusion damage card. That's pretty cool. 3 copies. Diffusion Blast, which when I saw this the first time, I thought this art is so cool. There was other cards that had rainbow art in this set. You'll see that. There's a bunch of rainbow art for the blue, for the Aquos and Darkus. Each opposing player chooses one of their heroes and destroys it. So they get to choose which hero they destroy, but it only costs 1. Garganoid Gaze was the Darkus card before that you could pay 2 to destroy a hero that was 4 or less, I think, 5. So this is like the new hero destroy card, super cheap. I got 5 copies. Malhem, 1 cost. When you fuse a Bakugan, give a Bakugan 202. So he came in a starter deck, got a hex here, 1 hex, 3 copies. Throw Anything is in all the toys, 3 copies of that one as a common. Darkus Dread, 2 cost for 100 B, 1 damage, and draw 1. I think that was in a starter set too. It's a common card, 3 copies. Trailing Dragon, 3 energy for 200 B and 4 damage, and if you energize from your hand, you may pay 2 to draw 1. 4 copies. And then this card, Darkus Power Kick, super rare, 3 cost. You get 600 B, and you may turn one of your fusion Bakugan face down. So you unfuse him for 3 cost. So I haven't looked into how this would work with the deck building and what you get when you fuse a Bakugan, but Interesting. I need to go back and look to see what I would use this for. One copy of that, super rare. Monstrous Surge was in a starter set deck. 4 for 800, and you get you may reveal a card in your hand that costs 2 for 4 more damage. So that's a good, I don't know, solid card there. Darkest Scion, 5 for 700 with Rapid Fire. So I got 1 shiny, 3 copies of that. Darkest Vacation, I only got 1 copy. Awesome rare, 5 cost, you take control of a hero. So what we see for Aquos, you get to steal a gear. Well, in Darkest, you get to steal a hero for 5 cost. 1 copy. And then Reality Ripper, I got 1 copy of that too. 5 cost, super rare, 10 damage, and you choose a player to discard a card for each fusion on your team. So you're getting a lot of effects there. It's a normal trade with 5 for 10, but then if you're running fusion teams, your opponent is discarding 3 cards. That's crazy. 1 copy. Weapons of Darkus, 1 cost, stop Darkus or a fusion. I only got 1 copy of this one. That's a common. That's kind of weird. And then for the rare flip, I got 2 copies. Creeping Darkus, stop a non-fusion, and if you do, choose someone to discard a card. 4 costs there. Okay, for the Darkest Gears, Unholy Bow, we've seen this one, 2 for 101 with 1 armor, 2 copies. Darkest Night, we've seen 2 for 102 with 1 armor. If another card causes you to reveal this from your hand, give a Bakugan +2. I got a lot of these ones. 3, 4, 5. This one's new, Baku Ruiner, 4 energy. When you play this, give a Bakugan -3 damage, and it comes with 300B and 3 damage. So, kind of good there. 5 copies, common card. Okay, that was all the Darkest. I'll move on to what little of Haos we got, but it's flippin' sweet. So I got 1 Pyrus Storm, it is a super awesome card. It's awesome rare. 2 costs to potentially draw 4 cards. You can read it here as I'm talking, but you can only find this in starter set decks. So I only got 1 copy of it. And then I got a Jeet, a shiny and a regular, new hero, 6 cost. When you fuse a Bakugan, you may destroy a hero, gear, or Evo. So that's cool. I hope I get another one in the next boxes and make a playset, but 1 shiny, yay. Golden Wall, these were like a dime a dozen, tons of these. Stop a non-fusion Bakugan for 3. Put those away. And then this card, Combo Cannon, the rainbow art, 4 cost, 300B, 3 damage, and 2 armor, but when this flips from your deck, you may pay 2 energy to attach this to a Bakugan. It is better to let this thing flip from your deck when you're taking damage and play it. Like, that's so cool. This card can be played from your hand, or if you don't get the chance to and it's just you lose it in damage, you still get to play it for cheaper. I got 2 copies. Oh, one of them's Hex. Should have been in the front. I really want to get a 3rd copy of this with the next 2 boxes, and I'm sure I will. Maybe even more, so that'll be fun. Got some Aurelian Accelerators. I don't remember if this came with a Bakugan or a starter set deck. I don't remember, but it's not new to me. 6 energy, 4 armor rating, 404. It's a pretty strong defensive card. Okay, so that was all of the RLS. Not a lot of RLS, which is always the case, so whatever. Okay, now for the dual faction cards. I'll go Pyrus and Darkus. Stinging Web Snare, we've seen this one before in a starter deck. 2 for 206. I got 1 Hex, 4, 5 copies. New card, Dark Infernal Lance, 3 cost for double strike, and then 200B for each fusion Bakugan on your team. So you could get up to 600B for 3 energy, which is a normal good, 1 for 2 ratio. This was a super rare. So that's cool. You're doing a couple things at once. I got 1 copy. Meteor Storm, we've seen this before. 3 for 4 and draw 1. Got a bunch of copies of that. What is that, 5? This one, new card, Energy Charge, 4 cost. Your opponent may have this make a Pyrus Darkus attack for 4 against them. If not, they must destroy 2 energy cards. So this is pretty wild. There's a couple other cards I saw that do this in the dual faction, but your opponent gets to choose. They take 4 damage or destroy 2 energy cards. I'm kind of thinking right off the top of my head, I would always take the 2 damage. The 4 damage. I would take 4 damage before destroying energy. I got 3 copies. Awesome rare. Stonebreaker. Whoa. So I got one card of the rare flip for Pyrus Darkus. 4 cost, destroy an energy or a hero card. For the gears now, are they all web launcher? They're all web launcher. I got 5 copies. 4 cost, if you attach it to a fusion, it gets 6 damage this turn. It's 400B and 0 damage. Okay, Darkus, Aquos, dual faction. River of Darkus. I love this card. It is a basic card, 2 for 6 and 2. 4 copies of 4 copies of it. It is my favorite common card ever. Soul of Storms, 3 energy for 300B and 3 damage. Return a non-energy card in play to its owner's hand. So that's pretty cool. You get to play a card, then you play this one as a follow-up, and you get your card back. That's awesome. It's a rare hex. I got 2 copies of this one, but this card is wild. This Darkus Aquos faction, dual faction stuff, it's strong. It is really strong. And then this one, 1 copy is all, but Sophie Judson Warfield Fusion Brawler, 3 cost. You may play this for free at the first turn of the game. All players draw an additional card at the start of each turn. Your opponent's maximum hand size is reduced by 1, so that number is 7. That means they can only have 6 cards in their hand. It's a pretty cool card. It's Baku Elite. It's the only, I didn't get a lot of these. Maybe one other one. Super cool. It'd be so cool if I got a play set of these later. But what a fun card. Okay, Darkus Water Spiral, new, 4 cost. You choose a player to discard a card and then 100B and draw 1 for each card that was discarded this turn. So you building a discard themed deck now just got kind of cool with this card. I got 3 copies. 4, there's 2 hexes. 4 copies. It's another idea to explore now. A little bit more of a discard themed deck. Okay, Sweeping Shockwave, 5 energy for 700B. Choose a player to discard 2 cards. That's pretty cool that you get the bonus of both of them. You're still getting 700 and somebody's discarding 2 cards. 3 copies, it's a common, 4 copies. Here's more rainbow cards. Spinning Waves, 5 cost, super rare, 900B in Shadow Strike, and then +2 Frost Strike for each Fusion Bakugan on your team. So all Fusion Bakugan teams are getting buffs here a little bit. I only got 1 copy of this though. And then for the flips, 5 cost, you draw 2 and choose a player to discard 2. So 3 copies of that, and then 1 copy of this common gear, Shield Wings, 3 cost. If you attach it to a Fusion Bakugan, it gets 600 this turn. And that's 202 ongoing. So this is actually a really good gear. It's just an energy card if it's on a Fusion Bakugan, 3 for 6. Pretty cool, need more copies. So that's all the dual faction Darkus Aquos. Now let's get into Haos Pyrus. So Poison Sting, rare card, 2 energy for removing an enemy Bakugan's Baku Core and negating its effect. And then if you empower, you pay an additional 3 to attach a Baku Core from the field to an open Bakugan. So even though we have all that core stuff going on with Bakugan, we're still getting core control cards. I got 1 copy as a rare. Here, put the hex on the top, huh? Baku Destabilizer, 3 cost for 700, which isn't terrible. But then you get to shuffle your hand into your deck and draw that many cards. So fun card there. 4 copies. And then we have the other Baku Elite, Everett Ray Fusion Brawler, 3 cost. You may play this in the first. Sorry, you may play this for free on the first turn of the game. Once per turn, you may re-roll a Bakugan you missed a roll with. If you stack this with built-in re-rolls that Bakugan have, the re-roll game is crazy now. So many re-rolls. 2 copies of that actually, which is awesome. Fusion War Charge, 4 energy for 6 damage and 2 Frost Strike. It's a common. I got 5 copies of that, I think. Bright Flame, another common, 4 energy for 600B and double strike. 5 copies of that. And then this one, this was pretty cool. Bakugan Sand Trap. I love the art here. 5 cost, you draw 2, and then +5 damage for each Fusion Bakugan on your team. So if you have 2 Fusion Bakugan the ratio of energy to damage kind of hits that minimum, and you're drawing 2. 1 copy. What did I say it was? Super rare. Okay, Baku Efficiency, 1 cost. The next card you play this turn costs 3 less. So it's that Pyrus thing, you get 2 free energy. 2 copies. Tail Shears, 3 energy. For the gears now, if you attach this to a Fusion Bakugan, you draw 2. It's 104. It's a really strong draw power card. I got 5 copies of that. And that's all for Haos Pyrus. Okay, now we got Ventus Haos. 2 cost, an opposing Bakugan must reroll. That Bakugan gets -200 for each fusion on your team. So it becomes the minimum when you have 2 fusions on your team with 2 for -4, or 2 for -6 is pretty strong. And then your opponent's rerolling. Although nowadays, I don't think you want your opponent to reroll a lot. It's not always a good thing. So what's going on with that? Super rare, 1 copy. And then this one, another Baku Elite. 1 copy, Ebony Fusion Brawler, 3 cost. You may play this for free at the first turn of the game. If it's the first turn of the game, your Bakugan have Green Fist attached, plus 200B and 1 Frost Strike. It's going to be a fun card. It's only 3 cost. And it's free at the start of the turn. Oh, I'm repeating myself, but that's cool. That's going to be fun. Green Fist decks, and those are kind of relevant nowadays. Okay, rare card, Prismatic Power Up, 4 energy. Choose an opponent's Baku gear and or hero. Your opponent must energize them uncharged. I don't know if it's great. I don't think it's good. A 4 cost to destroy a hero, but they're just getting energy, so whatever. 1 copy of that is a rare. Ventus Destroyer, 5 energy for -15 is a common. I don't think I've seen that one in starter sets, have we? 4 copies of that. Man, they loved Baku Roll. This thing was, I got so many copies of this. It's been in a starter deck, attached 2 Baku cores from the field to an open Bakugan. It might have come with Bakugan too. So how many copies is that so far? 6? 6 copies of that. Then we got a Hex, all new moves. 3 cost, you may play a card that costs 6 energy or less for free. Oh, I got 2 copies, 1 Hex. And then for the gears, first off, we have a Hex Fusion Boomerang, 3 energy. It's a common. If you attach this to a Fusion Bakugan, you may re-roll it. And it's 303. So without the text in the card, 3 for 303 is fine. It's good, actually. And then you can re-roll it via Fusion. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 copies of this gear. No shortage over here. Okay, so there's the dual faction Ventus Haos. Last deck or pile of dual faction, and then we get into the Evos and ECCs, epic character cards. So we have a super rare Hex, dual barricade, new card, 2 energy. You get to draw 1 and -2 damage for each fusion on your team. So if you have 3 fusions, 2 for -6 is good, and you're drawing a card for 2. It's pretty nice. 3 copies of that one. There, that's the last Baku Elite I got. 1 copy, Callaway Storm Fusion Brawler, 3 cost. You may play this for free in the first turn of the game. If you energize 2 cards in a turn, give a Bakugan plus 500. So they're giving ways to try to make a ramp a cool thing with these Aquos Ventus decks. I just want to explore all these decks now and see if it'd be good or not. Hook Trap, we've seen this before in a starter deck. 4 for -1200 B if it's non-Aquos, non-Ventus, which is a good ratio. So 1 for -3. 2 copies. 1 copy of Swamp Trap, that came in a starter deck. Negate an action card and recharge up to 4. So if you have 4 energy, this card is free. It's a rare, 1 copy. Multi-Strike for a common here, 5 energy for plus 300 B and drawing 3 cards. 4 copies of that one. Boomerang Blades, new gear to me. 7 energy, if you attach this to a Fusion Bakugan, is plus 1000 this turn. And it's 100 B and 10 damage. So that's kind of cool. Kind of cool. There's a lot of copies of this. 6 copies. Common gear. Okay, so that's all the action and hero cards done. Now we're going to get into the Evos to start. And what I did here is I just put the actual Bakugan on the top to remind myself as I'm going through. what the fused side of it looks like. So Maxitar, Zentar, Ventus, Haos, 606. The Evo is here. 6 energy, you're getting an additional 900 B, 9 damage. Good, not good? It's not that good. It is good if you consider that you are, you're more than doubling the B power for the energy cost. So the ratio of 1 energy to 200 B, or 100 B, I guess, is being met. And then if you have him last 2 turns, that doubles. So 3 copies of him. And then this is Trox Nobilius. This is a mistake. This has got to be a huge mistake because this is the character card and this is the fusion, or sorry, this is the Evo for the fusion, and the Evo is worse than the character card. The stats go down for 6 energy. That was like a huge mistake. I got 3 copies and one's a hex, so, you know, worst hex that they've ever made. Here's Picatrix Goreen, and here is the Evo that comes with it. So for 6 energy, you're increasing B by 300 and damage by 5, and then if he lands on a Fire Fist, 700 more. Okay, 2 copies of that, one's a hex. Syndius Scorporos, which we don't have a Bakugan for. We got 4 copies of that. So he is a dead Evo, but it's kind of cool. Halcor Ramparian, here's his fusion, and then here's the Evo. 8 energy to get up to 1808 with 5 Frost Strike and Shadow Strike. 2 copies of that, one's a hex. Nilius Enoch, here's the character, and then here's the fusion. And he came with, did he come with a starter deck? Can't remember now. I got 1 copy. Diamond Nilius Enoch. Ramparian Ultra, 2 copies of him. He just came with the Diamond Evo before, so that'll make a playset now. Maximus Enoch Ultra came in a starter set. I got 1 copy of him. Titan Treacherous Ultra, 4 for 1200, and he gets 3 Frost Strike if you have a Fusion Bakugan on your team. That's kind of cool. And then Hyper Maxodon, Hex Hyper Maxodon, 2 costs to get up to 900 B and 500 B on a Green Fist with 3 Frost Strike, so that's a fun Evo. Then we have Titan Enoch Ultra, Pyrus, 4 energy for 1200 and 7, and if you're a victor, you ignore the armor rating on opposing Bakugan. 1 copy, Hex. And then here we go, Diamond Ryarazu. This is cool. 4 energy for 1100 B and 6. And if you land on a magic shield, you get -4 damage, but another 1000 B power. So he's getting up to 21, 27, 50 on a magic shield for 4 energy, which is better, way better than the other people like Diamond Hydrus, or what was the other one? Gosh dang it. Aquos Apopix. But his damage goes down to 2. But that's funny because he doesn't come with a magic shield. So you got to share magic shields with Diamond Ryarazu. I only got 1 copy. It's pretty fun though. And then this Bakugan doesn't exist. Maximus Gilder Ultra, sad. Titan Pegatrix Ultra, 5 energy for 1304, and it costs 3 less if you have a fusion on your team. So he only costs 2 if you're playing with fusions. Got 2 copies of that. Hyper Cyrus Ultra, 3 energy for 900 B and 6, and if you win, you get 5 energy. That's pretty fun. 2 copies of him. Diamond Barbetra, 1 copy, 7 energy for 1505, and then you're getting 500 more on a Fire Fist or 5 on a shield. 1 copy. Then we get to the epic character cards. That was all the Evos. So here are the epic character cards that I got. Garganoid Webham. If you have 7 or more energy cards on Victor, you fuse him. And I think people have already talked about this one before. It's just going to be hard to win with him. He only gets the 900 B. How are you going to win? It'd take you all game to get like 2 gears on him and get him strong enough, and then you win. And then I guess when he wins, he's good, but you have to get lucky almost. So I got 1 copy of that. Trox Cyrus. And then on the back is what the epic character card says. When you turn this face up, energize a card in your discard pile uncharged. So that's cool. When you fuse him, you get an additional energy. That's gonna happen once per turn, but like we said, some of these effects make you unfuse your Bakugan. And then you can fuse them again and get another energy. So the deck implications could be fun. I got a lot of copies of him. I got, what did I get? 6 copies. Could be fun. Okay, then this Bakugan, Hydrus Batrix. Doesn't exist. 1 to fuse and empower. When you turn this face up, you may pay an additional 3 to make a Pyrus attack for 2. 505 with magic shield. So I guess he would have been cool. I have 4 copies. Feral Gillitor Ultra. When you fuse another Bakugan, you fuse this. So this is just a free fusion if you're gonna play him. Unfortunately, it's just not a good fusion Bakugan. 603 with the Fire Fist. It's, I don't know. I don't want to be mean, but why would you even use him? Trox Nobilius Ultra, 300B, 6 to fuse, and when you turn this face up, remove all enemy Baku cores and place them onto the field. So this is a super core removal fusion card, and you get to do it for 6. But it's such a bad Bakugan. Like, oh, it's just, and when he fuses, he's not any better. You'd have to use this with damage wins, and I don't know. The gimmick isn't worth running him, I don't think. So, I don't know, whatever you think. And then Darkus, Saber, Pyravian Ultra, Victor, choose a player to discard a card. Then, if that player has no cards in their hand, that's when you get to fuse him. It's just silliness, isn't it? How are you gonna get somebody to, how are you gonna win with this guy, only getting to 1,000, and then getting your opponent? Like, this is a super discard strategy, which it would be fun, I guess. You'd have to build a deck and test it. I shouldn't judge it so much just sitting here, but I got a lot of copies. And then Haos Trox Nobilius Ultra, 300, 6 to fuse. When you do, if you have 3 or more hero cards in play, you get 5 Frost Strike. And it's 6. That's a long time before he becomes good on the 6th turn. But it's interesting. It's kind of fun. 5 Frost Strike for a bunch of heroes. A lot of copies of him. And then the last one here, Halcor Serpentes. It gets 300B for each Baku gear attached to it. So it could get up to another 600 for 2 Baku gear. He's up to 13. And to fuse for 3 energy, 7. It's not. I just don't think it's that good. These aren't. They're cool, but they still don't make the fusions good enough, I don't think. Okay, there's all the cards. Hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe. Thanks. See ya.